I move forward, and we have a presentation from the smallest country in our community of SPP, Bhutan, but very glad that Bhutan is again with us, as you were in Kathmandu. Now, Mr. Tashi Penjor, very much welcome. You're the director of the Department of Human Settlements within the Ministry of Infrastructure, Transport of the Royal Government of Bhutan. You've worked on human settlements planning. You've worked on urban affairs. You are an architect planner by background and very engaged in your country. Your colleague, your staff, gave a very interesting presentation in Kathmandu 10 months back, and we are very glad that you now, as the leader of your department, can be with us and enlighten you on the planning work that you're doing in Bhutan. Please.
Distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of His Majesty the King of Bhutan, people and the government of Bhutan, I extend a warm welcome to all the participants who are present in this August gathering. Indeed, I am highly privileged to be able to present Bhutan's experience. At the same time, humbled standing in front of all the distinguished participants. As Bruno mentioned, Bhutan indeed is one of the smallest country in the Asia Pacific, or the Asian subcontinent, you may call. In today's presentation, while I may not have too much of experiences to share, rather I will be highly obliged and delighted to take away many good experiences, including that of the presentations that are made in the earlier part of the beginning in the morning, as well as many presentations to go for the next one day. As I mentioned, Bhutan does experience a very rich natural environment. However, if we are not careful, we will be in a position where it can, if not managed properly, will have adverse impact on our future generations. As Bhutan experienced urbanization very recently in the early 90s, our experience in urbanization, so-called urbanization, is so little that it may not have significant impact at the global level. Yet, Bhutan would like to contribute to the larger global society in order to make our world a better place to live. And more importantly, as we fulfill the SDGs, in particular the SDG 11, we hope that Bhutan will also play its role as one of the member nations of the United Nations. As we urbanize, we do experience many problems of the urbanization in the many bigger metropolis, such as Tokyo, or it could be Jakarta, Bombay, or many other metropolitan cities. Bhutan currently is urbanizing at a rate of, at an average of 4%. By 2050, more than 50% of the Bhutan's population will be living in the urban areas. While we have improved tremendously under the leadership of His Majesty the King in providing the required services and amenities, Yet, we have a lot of inequalities in terms of providing our urban services, given the difficult geographical terrain in Bhutan's context. Sorry. So as I mentioned, the wide ranges of challenges that we may experience either in Bangkok or Jakarta, Bhutan does have our share of urban challenges, including that of housing shortages, pollution, urban crime, unemployment, and so on. In the context of Bhutan, we do have a very significant typology when it comes to human settlement planning and development. The settlements are largely characterized by a temple at the highest point, surrounded by buildings, be it for residential, commercial, or institutional. The most favorable part of the land often is reserved for agriculture in the past, and largely it could be attributed as Bhutan was an agrarian society for a long time. As we urbanize, we do experience some of the critical challenges, including a pattern or kind of a settlement that may not necessarily harmonizes with the natural environment, such as development on slopes, linear development along roads, or a kind and a pattern of a building typologies, which may not necessarily sync or in the context of Bhutan's overall settlement. Sorry, I'm having some problem with the slides here. Can someone help me? Yeah. Yeah. Next. Next, please. This is how Bhutan, in general, the cities in Bhutan is largely a settlement that we could say is in keeping with the natural environment and topography. In the event that we do not carefully intervene, there might be a situation like I project here, which does not exist as of now, but there is a likely that without a spatial planning framework in place, some of the most beautiful landscape could be overridden by development pattern that not necessarily projects Bhutan's development philosophy. Not so long ago, in the capital city, a large tract of land remained to be used for agriculture, which also could be used as an open space, a carbon sink. However, within a very short span of time, like in the most urbanized cities, the capital city of Bhutan, Thimphu, is also losing away its natural asset and environment. Therefore, as I mentioned, if Bhutan is not sensitive to its spatial planning to its urbanization, the growth can be no different from some of the hill cities or hill towns in our neighboring countries. Next, please. So these are some of the pictures in the neighboring cities of Bhutan, not necessarily in Bhutan. This is which Bhutan does not want to develop or go towards. In this respect, in this respect, can you go back, please? So in this respect, for Bhutan's paradigm in urban planning and development, cultural landscape is something that collectively as a nation we would like to pursue. A spiritual landscape, an agricultural landscape, and a social landscape that will continue to define Bhutan's development philosophy of gross national happiness. In doing so, we may be in the position to reflect many of our beautiful settlements as we urbanize in the capital city, towns, or cities other than Thimphu and Paro. As I mentioned, globally, we are intrigued, in fact, by many of the planning movements and concepts, starting from garden cities, city beautiful, and in the recent past, smart cities, green urbanism, eco-cities. Yet, as I mentioned, we would like to pursue, in keeping with all these beautiful concepts and movement, in defining a paradigm or a planning shift that is relevant to Bhutan and in Bhutan's context. Next, please. Therefore, in keeping with our development philosophy, the gross national happiness, popularly known to the outside world, there is and there will remain a tremendous opportunity and potential for the urban planning and development paradigm to be aligning with the principles and the 9 domains of the gross national happiness in terms of making our people responsible, in terms of including our people during urban planning and development. But more importantly, as we conserve our environment and culture, it is in the overall interest of Bhutan to be able to align and promote a philosophy, a development philosophy that not only protects our environment and culture, but more importantly, our economy that is vibrant, an economy that is sustainable, cities that are livable. Next, please. Principles are being adopted. Next, please. Objectives are being aligned. Next, please. Legal and spatial planning frameworks have been put into place, starting from a national human settlement policy to the national human settlement strategy, all the way down to regulations, guidelines, and codes to enable the planning department or the ministry to take Bhutan forward in realizing its shared vision of inclusive, prosperous, and more importantly, more engaging Bhutan. Next, please. As I mentioned, the institutional framework, as it is in the member states who joined here, Bhutan, being a small nation and a country, does have a framework that provides for a planning or a spatial planning at a national, at a regional, and at local level. Under the leadership of His Majesty the King and the strong political will of the elected government, we would like to further our initiatives by making our cities, our towns, our villages more resilient, more inclusive, sustainable, and overall livable. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. So I not necessarily go into this different types of plans. Next, please. In fact, next, please. The planning processes, which could be quite similar to the context of all the participating delegates here. Please, next. I would like to reiterate and emphasize on some of the initiatives, including that of the National Land Use Plan prepared for the country. The National Land Use Plan under the Comprehensive National Development Plan, Bhutan 2030, does outline some of the important features and characteristics. Some of the important features and characteristics. I'm so sorry because there is some problem with the technology and I'm not able to speak coherently as I may like to. My apologies. Next, please. Next, please. So in the interest of our time, I would like to straight away go into some of the initiatives. So as I mentioned, with the generous support of the people and government of Japan, while Japan may be in the 5th stages of the CNDP, Bhutan did experience, given our small size. And we hope that some of the beautiful concepts that we can learn from our member states could be incorporated in the National Land Use Plan of Bhutan, approximately about 38,000 square kilometers. Next, please. A spatial structure has also been defined in the CNDP 2030 of Bhutan. Next. Likewise, in a dream and an aspiration to now conform the capital city of Thimphu and the adjoining city of Paro, there are also numerous projects through spatial planning being undertaken in order to ensure that we are able to promote right growth, or good growth, rather good growth in right places, exhibited through some of the important plans, such as the Paro-Thimphu Regional Plan, next, the Thimphu Structure Plan. So by good growth in right places, we would like to ensure that the capital city is able to inform the rest of the country in terms of urban planning and development. As I started in the beginning, I am here to learn rather than to share our experiences. I hope that as I go back from this 2 days conference, I will be able to take back as many information as possible in furthering Bhutan's journey towards achieving the shared collective vision of gross national happiness. My apologies to all our distinguished participants for not being able to deliver a coherent presentation given the technical glitches that I have faced. Nevertheless, once again, on behalf of His Majesty the King, the government, the people of Bhutan, let me once again thank everyone, all the member states and the distinguished guests and the participants who are present here. And as I said, there are many lessons to be learned in Bhutan's journey of urban planning and development. Thank you very much, and Kadin Chela.
Thank you, Tashi Penjor. I did see glitches, but I did not see incoherence. And I think, on the contrary, we saw a lot of coherence, appreciated, and you had much more to tell than what you could show, even with perfect equipment, because it's so much of planning work that you have been leading in Bhutan. But also very important to coherence that it goes back to making sure that the vision and the mission of national development and national territorial development is kept in place. Good growth in the right places, a simple recipe, but so important. But also that great care for your heritage, for your culture, for your spiritual landscapes, and to make sure that in all that technical planning work that you do, that vision and that mission is maintained. That was the coherence that you brought, and it was abundantly clear. Many thanks.